Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bolt City Podcast. Dave Pele, Josh Pele, Mario Heron will join us in just a little bit. Joining us right now, we'll start off with a guest talking Charger football. It's Maddie Schmidt from the Guilty as Charged Podcast 17. Maddie, thank you so much for joining us. We're still excited around here after the Chargers' exciting win over the Tennessee Titans. For us, we looked at that game as this is going to be a tough game for the Chargers to win because how do you stop Derrick Henry? For you, getting ready for that game, Titans and Chargers, which way did you think it was going to go?
If I'm being honest, I thought it was going to land with the Titans, but they surprised me, the Chargers. I was impressed. And thanks for having me on today, guys. Excited to be here.
Thank you.
So do you think Joey Bosa, Rashawn Slater are going to come back this year? I think those are the two players Charger fans are looking as injuries, that might come back. They'll have a big impact. Do you see either one of those guys coming back? And if they do you think it's going to help us push further into the playoffs?
It's definitely going to help. I'm not sure if they're going to be back in time to help the Chargers land in the playoffs, but we did learn today that Derwin James might be practicing this week, so that would be extremely helpful and beneficial to the Chargers as they try to clinch a playoff spot.
Maddie, in one of your previous shows that you did that I was watching today, you were talking about different coaches that were on the hot seat. And you didn't name Brandon Staley in the bit that I was watching, but you nailed all the other coaches that were on the hot seat, ended up losing jobs. And Brandon Staley is a guy that I've said for a long time, I think the Chargers would be better off going in another direction. I keep pushing for, Sean Payton to be next year's coach. But when you look at this team now and you look at the job Brandon Staley is doing, is he a guy you'd recommend that, hey, you know what, you got to keep him? He's a guy, he's probably going to make it to the postseason. This team's going to be fine. Or could you see the Chargers making a move? Would you make a move?
If the Chargers make the postseason, I don't see them making a move on Staley, although a lot of fans like you want Sean Payton there. But I just don't see them making that move if they make the postseason. Now, if they don't, then he's definitely going to be back on my hot seat, and I wouldn't be surprised just because the Chargers need to make the playoffs, and fans are tired of mediocrity, as I am as well.
Justin Herbert was called a social media quarterback. I'm sure you've seen that. Everybody knows Justin Herbert couldn't be further from a social media quarterback. When they put him on the Jumbotron, he goes into hiding, right? No, he never wants to be seen. Did it bother you as a Charger fan that he was labeled as a social media quarterback?
A little bit, just because we know he's not, and it's a little bit of a distraction, but we can't really control the media, so to speak. So it is what it is. Got to go with it.
Where would you put Justin Herbert as far as quarterbacks right now in the NFL, as far as guys you have faith in that can take their team all the way to the Super Bowl?
Oh, I have 100% faith in Justin Herbert. No, he didn't have the best day this past weekend against the Titans, but he led a game-winning drive, and I think that says a lot about his mindset and where his head is at. He doesn't let the little things get to him. He's going to keep fighting and keep playing, and we saw he broke history this past weekend. First player in the NFL to get over 4,000 yards in their first 3 seasons. Justin Herbert's a guy that's going to be around a while, and I think the Chargers are lucky to have him.
Who in the AFC West do you dislike the most? As a kid, I always hated the Raiders. Something about the Raiders that always bothered me. Obviously, nowadays, it's the Chiefs that bother me because they won the division 7 times in a row. Russell Wilson irks me for all the obvious reasons. Which team in the AFC West do you dislike the most?
It's got to be Chiefs. I'm just sick of it. I want someone new. Come on.
I'm with you. I'm done with the Chiefs. I just want to see the Chargers pass the Chiefs. I'm done with this run. It's been way too long. We were talking on the last show after the excitement of the Chargers win over Tennessee about which teams that you wouldn't want to see the Chargers face. Like if you could pick your matchup in the postseason, the consensus around here is Cincinnati makes everybody a little bit nervous. Out of all the teams that the Chargers could possibly go through in the postseason, is there anyone that says it's not a good matchup for the Chargers?
A lot. Is that an answer? I think that is hard. There is so many. I do think Cincinnati is the hottest team in the NFL right now. So they're going to be very, very dangerous. And people are talking about them being Super Bowl contenders. They were there last year. They know what it's like. I would say if the Chargers end up facing the Bengals, it's bad news.
Who on the offense do you think is most key for the Chargers to have a push in the playoffs? Don't go with Justin Herbert. Obviously, he's the most important player. Do you look at a Keenan Allen, an Austin Eckler, a Mike Williams, somebody that you think needs to step up for the Chargers to really make a push?
Well, I think this past weekend, Keenan Allen got the most receptions, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's key. Keep targeting him as well. Key for the Chargers, just keep driving down the field.
When you look at the Chargers, the remaining schedule, one of the things we pointed out was when the schedule first came out, we were nervous about the stretch run. I mean, you're looking at the Titans, you're looking at the Colts, even the Rams at the time. It's hard to believe as we're talking about the Rams and Chargers matching up on New Year's Day that the defending Super Bowl champions in SoFi, where, let's be honest, there are more Rams fans in the city of Los Angeles than Charger fans, it's going to be tough. For us, looking at the remaining part of the schedule, we can see this team riding a 5-game win streak. For you right now, looking at this Charger team, are they on pace right now for you to say this team is ready to make that big playoff push, or do you still have some concerns?
I definitely have a few concerns in terms of areas of improvement, but I do think the road to the playoffs is simple. They control their own destiny. The Chargers have the easiest remaining schedule. We've got the Colts, we've got the Broncos, and we got the Rams. You couldn't pick a better 3 teams if you're a Chargers fan to face these next few weeks. So on paper, the Chargers should make the playoffs. They're in a great position, even if the 3 scenario, if the Jets, the Patriots, and the Raiders don't lose this past weekend, if the Chargers beat the Colts, they're still on pace to make it.
What do you think the glaring weaknesses are for the Chargers? When I look at this team, I think offensive line still is a big issue. Defensive line going against the run. We still beat the Titans, but Derrick Henry had 100 yards. I think that's going to be a big problem going into the playoffs. Do you think the offensive line, the defensive line, or another part of the team is the biggest weakness right now?
I think right now it's offensive inconsistencies. We don't really know what to expect game to game. Who's going to show up? Are we going to play 4 quarters? Because if we just leave it to the 4th quarter in the last minute like we did the last week, it's not going to work, and the Chargers aren't going to make it far in the playoffs, bottom line. I think offensive line has been the glaring issue for quite some time, and it still is.
It's funny that you say that about all 4 quarters. The running joke on this show is 3rd quarter, this team is not going to score. I mean, they just don't score in the 3rd quarter, and they haven't scored an offensive touchdown since week 5 of the season. And you just sit there and shake your head and said, how can you still be on base to make the postseason? When you look at the Chargers right now as they head into this game coming up this weekend, and they're looking to keep the roll going, national television game against the Colts, what are you expecting to see? Who would be your picks to click for the Chargers?
So first off, I think the Chargers are very lucky given we learned today Jonathan Taylor's on IR. They should win this game. But the thing I'm worried about is overlooking the game, overlooking the Colts, because let's be real, the Colts are not very good. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. But remember what happened last year against the Texans? We overlooked them and it hurt our playoff chances. So anything could happen. So I just think the key for them right now is staying focused and not overlooking the next game ahead.
I want to go back to something you said a second ago, offensive inconsistency. Do you attribute that more to injuries or more to schematics? I think the coaching, we see a lot of people talk about, including ourselves, where the Chargers don't throw the ball down the field very often. And when they do, it's not to Mike Williams or Keenan Allen because they've been injured. Do you think it's more towards the injuries that the Chargers haven't been consistent, or do you think it's more from a coaching side?
So I think it's a little bit of both. I haven't personally agreed with all of the coaching decisions and play calling, so it goes to that. But at the same time, the Chargers have been one of the most unlucky teams in the NFL this year with injuries. It's like every other week, oh, this guy's injured, this guy's injured. The Chargers are lucky to be even 8-6 right now, honestly, with who they've missed.
Not a ton of injuries. I mean, we know it's part of the NFL, but boy, it seems like it's one of those things that has chased this franchise around more than any other franchise. This year, it seemed like it has fallen on Tennessee even more so than the Chargers, but boy, the Chargers are right there. Maddie, before we let you go, give us a final score prediction for Monday night.
Oh gosh, I'm going to take the Chargers here, but I think the Colts are going to give them a game. I'll say 23-17 LA.
23-17. You like it? Another low-scoring game. This is what they did. We keep waiting for the Chargers to get back into the 30s, but hey, anything that puts them on top. Maddie, we can't thank you enough. Really appreciate the time, and thank you for joining us. Again, you can catch Maddie Schmidt on the Guilty as Charged podcast 17 or GAC podcast 17. You can catch her there and doing great things Again, following the Chargers and their run towards hopefully a Super Bowl championship, their first time, hopefully putting a trophy in that trophy case would be great for the Los Angeles Chargers. Maddie, thanks again. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maddie.
That's Maddie Schmidt again. Very nice to join us talking a little Charger football. And as we get ready, Josh, for this big game on Monday night, again against the Colts, you're right. We got some good news. You never root for injuries. And as Mario joins us right now, you never root for injuries. But who's the one guy on the Colts that scared you, right? It was Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
And the fact that Jonathan Taylor is unable to go, hey, we'll take it, right? It's happened to us too many times. And we wish him a speedy recovery, right, is what you're supposed to say, especially around the holidays, as long as that recovery comes after Monday. So here's the deal. We lucked out. We go to Indianapolis, primetime game again. The Chargers are trying to make a run. Great. We got a big bonus on as far as what they're going to do. Mario, you're in Indianapolis right now. You're getting all the news that's coming down with the Colts and what happened now that Jonathan Taylor is gone. What is the focal point for the Colts? What are they going to try and do against the Chargers on Monday?
Well, honestly, if you look at the Colts right now, the only player I would say actually two players that are still giving it their all and, are, I guess, the spotlight for the Colts, it's Stephon Gilmore. And then it's, I'm going to pronounce his first name very wrong. I think it's something Franklin. Starts with a Z. Zara? Is that how you say his name? I don't know. Butcher that one. But
Josh is always the one that nails all of them. I don't know. You leave it up.
Colts are so bad, dude. I don't watch much Colts football.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
That's good analysis right there. I mispronounced his name, but it's Franklin. He's a middle linebacker for the Colts. He's top 5 in league in tackles this year. But Tim and Gilmore have been the only bright lights in this Colts season. Everything else has been piss poor. Matt Ryan got benched, then he came back. Jonathan Taylor hasn't been healthy. If you were in fantasy football and drafted Jonathan Taylor as your first overall pick, you've been pretty pissed off this year. So the testament right now in the Indianapolis and in the Colts area is simply let's move the F on. Close it, tie a bow on it. Let's move on. It's all the questions when you look at all these Colts beat writers and everything. It truly is all to who they're going to hire next as head coach. Is Saturday going to stay? And that's about it. What quarterback can they get? You have, Barstool Indy. He's constantly going to post some college quarterback in a Colts uniform going, hey, do we like this? Does this look good? Because that's the spot they're in right now. They're not in a great spot. They have the most expensive O-line in the NFL. That doesn't look very good. So it is a tight, bad spot for the Colts. I can say this in Indianapolis. It's basketball season. Football is out the window. It is basketball season here.
Wow. This is how I feel about the Colts. You did this to yourselves. Why would you hire Jeff Saturday? I'm totally with Joe Thomas on this guy didn't put in the time. He didn't deserve this job. The fact that he's even the coach of the Colts is totally like a bro move by Jim Irsay. They just need to part ways, man. To give some respect back to the fans. Indianapolis, great fan base. Don't do that to them, man. They don't deserve that. They've been through too much this season, and then to add Jeff Saturday on top of that, just a bad move. Also, going with these old quarterbacks, it obviously doesn't work. So why don't you just go with the young guy? Enough with this Matt Ryan experiment. That was a bad idea. He looked terrible with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know why they thought he'd be better with less talent on the Colts. Nothing that the Colts have done for the past year looks like it makes any sense at all.
Okay, a couple things right there is one is the Jeff Saturday situation. We called that on the show. I think so many other people across the country probably did too. We said it wasn't a good situation for the Colts bringing in a guy that is basically a hero. I mean, people love Jeff Saturday in Indianapolis. There's nothing he could do that would put him in a bad light, except name him a head coach and have him lose every game but one going into the end of the season. This becomes a running joke. I don't care how much money people pay you. When you're already loaded and you're financially stable and you got a great job working for a major network and everybody loves you there too, why would you put yourself in the situation of becoming a head coach and losing all these games and becoming a running joke of, remember when Jeff Saturday was given the job with zero experience? Because that's what it's always going to be remembered as for years and years to come. Why would he do that to himself? Why would Robert Irsay put him in that situation? This was a bad hire all the way around. The Raiders should be even more embarrassed thinking about it. The fact that they were lost that one game to the Colts. They aren't any better than what they were. You talk about the quarterback situation, Josh, and you're right. It's been a disaster since Andrew Luck retired, who I think, Mario, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew Luck surprised the franchise. Nobody expected Andrew Luck to call it a career. And Andrew Luck doesn't owe the Colts or the NFL or anybody else anything. He just owes his family an explanation as far as why, hey, this game wasn't healthy for him anymore. but it really did bury the Colts organization. And so many people coming into this season said this is the year that the Colts win the division. They pass the Titans, and watch out for the Colts. That's all you kept hearing. Watch out for the Colts. Well, anyone who watched Matt Ryan could tell you, watch out for what? Unless you have that offensive line that's going to keep handing the ball off to Jonathan Taylor and you don't make Matt Ryan throw the ball more than 15 times a game, you have no chance to win with Matt Ryan. So it has gone very much so, I think, the way normal football fans assumed it would go. But for some reason, man, the Colts were the hot pick last summer, and it hasn't gone well at all. Now you pile on all these injuries and the coaching disaster. It's an embarrassing situation for the Colts. And Mari, I know you're there, but I'm curious to know, are people holding Irsay's feet to the fire because he has completely embarrassed this organization?
I wouldn't say they're holding his feet that close to the fire. I wouldn't say he's gotten as ripped into as you would expect. People love Irsay here, which is I know it seems odd, but people love him. And I think a lot of people in Indianapolis, they go back to the fact that when Andrew Luck retired, this was the team that was perfect for Luck, right? Under the ownership, I'm blanking on the guy's name, but under the ownership before Ballard, the whole problem was, shut up, Apple Watch. All right, so under that ownership, there was like, we need an O-line, we need to protect Luck, because if you guys remember, Luck was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league, and he got hit like 10 times a game. Like, it was brutal. You get this team, you get all this, and suddenly it's like, all right, Colts are the Super Bowl push. You get a new coach that just was on the staff that took the Eagles to the Super Bowl, and you had all these things going right. Luck goes out, and I think from then on, people were like, oh, but if only that went our way, we would have all this. If Irsay made every right move, he got the best GM, he got the best offensive mind, he got the best O-line, he got Quentin Nelson, you got Darius Leonard. Like, look at this guy. This guy's a genius. And it's like, yeah, sure. All right, he's a genius. I don't think he's a genius at all. He's, kind of a billionaire that can be as kindly as you could say an idiot at some points with just some of the decisions he makes. So I think it's just people here, like, give him the benefit of the doubt, going, this was a future set on Andrew Luck, and that was yanked from us. And then from then on, we're like, hey, let's just be a rental place. Get Father Phillip goes in there, it doesn't do bad. Then you have Jacoby Brissett's in there, gets all in there, and yeah, it's whatever. Carson Wentz comes in, sucks. Matt Ryan, who, by the way, still has a lot, I think 4 years left on that deal in Indianapolis. A lot more time with old Matty Ice. So it's, people aren't pissed off with Irsay because it's just, they're like, we've had so much success with the Colts and there hasn't been success in other areas in the sports town of Indianapolis, but it's going to come. If they don't get a QB in this draft for the future, I think it's going to start being some hell risen up here in what I would call, and Adam Silver calls, the best host city in America.
Adam Silver says that?
Oh, yeah. He said, he goes, it's one of the best host cities.
Why?
He
Because in the middle of the country? What's the reason behind that?
Okay, the attitude.
I'm just saying. We got to be kidding me, right? About this. I'm not hating, but to say the best host city, that's nuts, dude.
It's actually considered one of the best because of like the hotels all around downtown, how close everything is, where you don't have to go that far to go anywhere, and you get a lot of privacy in Indy. Like, no one bothers you in Indianapolis, so they like that. And you have there's a lot of steakhouses in Indy too, and they very much take care of you. You in your own room and everything like that.
Okay. I would just like to point out. I would just like to point out that Mario and myself make fun of Dave for being old all the time. He dropped Robert Irsay a second ago. Robert Irsay died 25 years ago. Are we not going to use that?
Yeah.
Did I say Robert Irsay?
You did say.
Oh, that's right.
But going back, it's okay. Going back to the Colts, they don't have the luxury. Sorry about it.
That's funny.
The Colts don't have the luxury of screwing up Matt Ryan, like the Matt Ryan situation and other contracts, because it's Indianapolis. No offense to Mario and the great people of Indianapolis. It's not exactly a free agent destination. So you got to do well in the draft. You got to do well with your signings. You can't afford to do the Matt Ryan thing. If I'm Andrew Luck, I'm getting out of town exactly when he got out. He was getting the crap beat out of him, like Mario said, for such a long time. He had T.Y. Hilton to throw to. Sure, T.Y. Hilton was a good player. He's not Reggie Wayne. He's not Marvin Harrison. He's not the type of guys that Peyton Manning had. I would have done the exact same thing. I just think the Colts, have gotten lucky almost. They're in a division that's ran the worst. If you're talking from a talent perspective, the AFC South has the least amount of talent always. It's always been like that. The AFC South always has badly ran teams with not a ton of talent, not like the other divisions. So I think the Colts have been very lucky where they've been. If they were in a different division, I think they'd be in the cellar. Honestly, I don't think they've ever had that much talent.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, Tennessee is the worst roster in the NFL. Jacksonville has messed things up with Urban Meyer's hire set them back. You look at the Texans, Deshaun Watson completely blew that entire franchise up. You're right. It was right there for the Colts. The funny thing is with Andrew Luck had no offensive line and no one to protect him and really no weapons to throw to when he was there. Right now, the Colts offensive line is the most expensive offensive line in the NFL. Yet they aren't doing a good job. And they don't have a quarterback now that doesn't matter if they gave him all the time in the world to make decisions. Matt Ryan's past his prime. It's just not going to happen. Timing is everything. You said something that I thought was interesting, an interesting football question to me, at least, especially as we're watching all these baseball players pick new teams to play for. You said a free agent destination. Is there a free agent destination place in the NFL? Like, do people look at that and go, I want to be in LA. I want to be in Buffalo.
Miami.
I want to be like, do you think
Guys
so?
love, yes, dude. Guys always are hanging out in Miami. They want to be in warm weather. If you were a free agent, you're getting offered the same amount of money to play in Miami or Cleveland. Which one are you choosing?
Okay, hold on. This is I think the interesting part of the question is it goes back to what we spoke about in one of our very first shows when Tony Gonzalez came out and said that there are only like 20% of the NFL players that care about wins. All the other ones care about the paycheck. And you look at a situation with Von Miller, who went from Denver to the Rams in the trade, wins a Super Bowl. The Rams wanted him back, could have stayed in warm weather, yet he chose Buffalo. He goes to Buffalo. In the old saying, it's not the end of the world, but you can see it from Buffalo. And in the NFL, the only one I can think of that sounds like glamorous, that maybe is a big deal if you're on that team, would be the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, the Dolphins were having the toughest time even making postseasons and getting people to come to the games. And we all know we all covered the NFL. The NFL, you don't have a lot of time. So even if you're one of those guys that goes, I want to be in Miami because the nightlife and everything else, you get one day off a week. That's Monday night going into Tuesday as your off day. I don't even know if it matters. I think it all comes down to money.
Well, I think Von Miller is part of the 20. Sorry, Mario. I think Von Miller is part of the 20% of guys that really cares about winning. That's why he goes to Buffalo and these other cities.
I think it cares about legacy. He wanted to be that guy that won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different teams.
100%. He's always been that guy that's really cared about winning. I understand the nightlife thing, but you have a family too. Your family's not going to want to board up in Buffalo. They want to be in a warm place too. If I was a family member, if I was a player, I'd want a warm weather city. I want to be in LA, Miami, Dallas would be great. Probably be my number one choice just for all the reasons you named. But I wouldn't want to play in Detroit or Cleveland or any of these places. If I'm getting offered the same amount of money to play for the Detroit Lions and the LA Chargers, without a doubt, I'm choosing the LA Chargers.
I kind of agree. I don't think there's a destination thing in the NFL as much of kind of the Von Miller situation of who's ring ready, who's that playoff ready. I think it's more of that in the NFL. And think about this too. Contrary to like the MLB and the NBA, where like you have these crazy long seasons, right? Like you start end of fall going in the winter for basketball and you end all the way into the summer. Baseball, you start in still winter where I'm from, but early spring for most places. And you go all the way until like literally winter. So there's a lot of time you have to spend in that city and being around that crew. In football, it's just a couple of months and then you can go wherever, like Peyton Manning played for the Colts and he barely lived here. Like you can easily just go back to your hometown or anything like that. So I think that's the thing that makes it a little bit different for football. Is like, yeah, I can spend 4 months here, but then I can leave. DeForest Buckner lives in the same neighborhood as my sister. And he's like, yeah, but he's not there. Like he comes for football season. When training camp's coming, he's there and then he's out. So I think that's a little bit of the thing that's different from football.
Is she sure it's DeForest Buckner? Is it not somebody else? I'm just kidding.
Just curious, when you said Peyton Manning didn't spend the majority of his time in Indianapolis, did it rub people who are Colts fans the wrong way, or were they okay with that? Like, people talk trash about it?
No, not at all. No one gave 2 craps. People, dude, Peyton Manning is God here. Yeah, they
Yeah.
could do anything. I mean, Andrew Luck still lives in Indianapolis.
That's
Is
crazy.
he really?
Yeah, he lives in Indianapolis. He lives in a suburb.
So that seems tough. That
Yeah.
because people looking at him going, "You let us down, Andrew. We would have had a chance. It wasn't for you retiring." You know what I mean? It seemed like you'd be yelling at him in the grocery store.
Well, he's in a rural part of a suburb of Indy. Like he's an outdoors guy. Like loves fishing and stuff. Like no one's bothering Luck. No one's bothering him.
Okay, let's go back to this conversation then. Where does Andrew Luck rank? Like he's not a Hall of Famer, right?
No,
He was
he's not.
great, but he barely played.
This was the NBA. He'd be a Hall of Famer. But no,
Oh, dude,
not
everybody
in the
gets into the
NFL.
Hall of Fame for the NBA.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Get a heartbeat and score 30 points one game, you're in the Hall of Fame in the NBA. No, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
He's not. He didn't play long enough. I mean, he's was a great player, and I think the best years were in front of him, actually, by the time he steps aside. I don't blame anyone in a physical sport that says goodbye. In my opinion, watching football as long as I have, Bo Jackson was the most dominating player I've ever seen, but he's not a Hall of Famer. He didn't play long enough. All right, here, I got another question to throw at you guys. Funny that we're talking about where guys live. By the way, in San Diego, where I am right now, there was a time where there were forced NFL starting quarterbacks lived in the same neighborhood, which is weird. You had Aaron Rodgers, you had Drew Brees, you had Phillip Rivers, you had Carson Palmer, all lived right in the same little area. And it's like, well, that's nuts. The 30, 2 teams in the league and 4 of the guys live basically on the same block was bizarre. All right. Is there an NFL city that you would say I would not want to go to? Like that, it would be a nightmare when you find out that's where you're drafted and you're going or traded to and you go, oh my God, that's the city I'm in. Like what is number 1 on your list of where you would not want to go? I have one that stands out immediately. Detroit. Boom.
Yeah.
Really?
Wow. Sorry to
Mario,
hurt hair and
sorry,
Detroit
Mario.
family base.
Yeah, the Lebanese are to come after you, man. They don't take kindly to you coming out Detroit.
I've seen 8 Mile too many times, bro. I just don't feel like it,
When Jared Goff got traded to Detroit, I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was the biggest punishment to me of all time.
Yeah.
Am I wrong, Mario? I've never been to Detroit. You tell me if I'm wrong.
So last time I went there, I was very, very young. I think the only reason this is sound biased, I have family in Detroit. I'm fully acknowledging that. The only thing that would get me is how big of a fan base it is, and they will do it. Like they're do or die by you. It's like if you have, so if you have a good game with them and you work hard for them, they will. I mean, they worship Barry Sanders there and Calvin Johnson, and they retire at the peak of their powers. And if you do that, if you'd have done that in New York, are you kidding me? You can't even come within a mile of New York City without them calling you whatever names in the book. And so that's this next one's going to sound really biased too. I have 2 that I would, if I got drafted there, I would be like, God, I would maybe retire. Before he was there, if you would have told me I have to go live in Kansas City for 4 months of the year, I'm out. That's one of them. It's a big one for me. Just it's that literally just doesn't sound like fun. And then besides that one, have you guys ever been to Cleveland?
Yeah,
I haven't.
I have a bunch.
Just know, Josh, you should be all set.
Yeah.
You ain't missing much.
Okay. What about? Okay, I got one for you. It's easily the smallest city in the NFL, but they have a great fan base. Green Bay, Wisconsin.
That was my other one. My first words I would have said, I was gonna say, I'd rather drink my own puke than live in Wisconsin. I would literally rather drink my own puke.
How do you think of this stuff? Like, how does that come to your head?
Dude, like the things I would rather do than live in that state is unbelievable. And then you have to wear those disgusting uniforms and that helmet. It looks like Pee Wee football put together that jersey combination. I get tradition, but let's move on. Okay, it's 2022. Nike, get in there. Let's go back to the drawing board on the uniforms. That's another city. And then the Cheeseheads, ugh.
Yeah. How do you really feel?
Yeah, you can't change the Packer uniforms.
They
won the first 2 Super Bowls. They're like the
good for you.
most historic.
Good for you.
I've never been there. All right, I'm not the voice of Wisconsin. I'm just saying you can't change the team with that much history.
Okay, Yale has like 22 college football championships in like the 1920s to 1940s, so we're not going to let them change anything either.
Like, there's a big damn difference. People actually, Yale's not on Monday Night Football. Green Bay Packers are Monday Night Football.
Dude, I'm just saying we can help them out a little bit by changing the uniform combo. It's the thing that drives me nuts.
Okay, look, let's be honest, Mara. You hate that franchise so much that even if they did, you wouldn't be going, all right, now we're talking. You'd still hate them, no matter what they changed to.
Yeah. When I was like 12, no, I wasn't 12. I was like 8. My friend had like a Packers jersey. And he slept around my house, and I peed on his Packers jersey in his backpack, just to show like for a young age.
How long ago was that?
2 weeks ago.
He's still one of my best friends. Yeah, but
It's last night. All right,
yeah, it was last weekend.
Let's move over to some Chargers stuff.
What a train wreck. I'm sorry I brought this up.
This show completely went off the rails. I don't know how we got here. On Monday, I can't even focus. On Monday, J.C. Jackson was booked into jail in Boston. What are your guys' thoughts on that? I mean, I really don't have many details besides he got booked into jail over a family issue. I'll start with you, Mario. What do you think?
Unfortunate situation. He was released today. Chargers went out, made a statement saying we are aware of the media reports this afternoon pertaining to J.C. Jackson. We will continue to gather information on the matter, and we will refrain from further comment at this time. Just a unfortunate situation. You know, it's hard to kind of speak on this. We don't have like all the details, and obviously you don't want to say something that's incorrect or anything like that. Football-wise, just hope it's not something that distracts the team or affects the team in any single way. You know, J.C. Jackson's out for the year, obviously. Not really around the team right now. Let's just hope it's a situation that gets resolved for him and his family that doesn't cause any more damage or anything like that. And 2, hopefully it's just something that can be resolved quickly, and hopefully sins can be forgiven and things can be moved for the better.
All right, so here's the deal. I haven't been around the Chargers, front office for a long time and seen how they deal with these situations. Because the NFL, for a long time, this was out of control. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals were a disaster. And there were a bunch of teams that had, 15, 16 guys getting arrested every single year or major issues because they weren't following the law. The Chargers hate this. Okay, the Chargers front office hates it. Dean Spanos hates it. They don't want anything to do with guys that get in trouble. I don't know to the extent. We don't have the details, as we just said 3 times on the show. That's not even the important thing here. Look, he wasn't helping this team out anyway. Okay, let's just stay with what goes on the football field. When he was healthy, he was hurting the team. Now that he's not even around the team, he's still hurting the team because it says Charger cornerback, Charger defensive back is, boom, in trouble. The Chargers hate it. As fans, you don't want to be associated or root for a guy that does bad things. And again, can't say it enough. We don't know to the extent. It doesn't matter. Know who it backfires on the most? It backfires on Tom Telesco. Tom Telesco's, that's where he gets called in to the owner's office to say, man, you really screwed this up. Just when I thought you couldn't mess this up anymore by giving this guy so much of my money and signing this guy to a team that it got burnt all season long until he got hurt, which was the best thing to happen since the Chargers signed him. Now he does this when he's not even helping the team, and I'm still writing him checks. It falls on Telesco. As the guy who takes the biggest beating in this disaster, it falls on Telesco on bad character review. And I know he's not he can't read the future, but if I'm the owner, I don't know about you guys. If you're the one writing checks and you're disappointed that you're paying for junk, you're sitting there saying, now I have this on top of it. I still got to write this guy checks over and over again to a guy that's embarrassed the organization. And when he was healthy, he stunk. Thanks, Tom. That's what I'm doing.
I'm with you on that. He's been the most disappointing player when he was on the field. The difference between him and the other guys that got injured is the other guys played well when they're on the field. Joey Bosa was doing fine. Rashawn Slater, fine. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams balling when they're on the field. J.C. Jackson looked like the worst player on the entire defense. The entire defense, he looked like the worst player. I don't understand why guys are allowed to go back to Boston or wherever their families are at during the game. Why is that okay?
Yeah, that's a weird thing for me too. Is like, you go ahead, Dave. I saw you.
No. In pro sports, what you see a lot of times, it's out of sight. And they'll tell you that to separate yourself from the team. They said it's one of those things where teammates and coaches get upset when they look around and going, "You can't help us, so why are you here?" And you see it in every sport, not just in the NFL. You see it in baseball a lot. If you see a guy who's injured in baseball, who's not able to help the team that night, they tell you to come in early, get your work in, whether it's running to repair a hamstring, whether it's hitting in the cage, whatever it is. But they want you off the field and out of the clubhouse by the time the game is getting ready to start. They just say it's almost like a bad reminder that you can't help us. And when you aren't winning a game, to look over and see a guy that's letting the team down because of his health, they usually ask you to separate yourself.
Yeah, you said out of the clubhouse, out of the locker room. He's not even in the same state. He's on the other side of the country.
Yeah, he's in a state of confusion. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I don't get why that's okay. Why are you in Boston, bro? Like, the team's playing, we're about to make the playoffs, and you're in Boston messing around? I just think from a mental aspect, you got to wonder where the hell he's at.
Yeah, that was a weird part to me too, is you're so far away from the team. And I get what you're saying, Dave. Like I've seen it with just Bulls reports with like Lonzo Ball, where like, oh, Lonzo's in California rehabbing, stuff like that. And it's kind of like why aren't you like closer to the team or anything? So that is a very weird aspect too. I'm like, it's a pretty pivotal point in the season, and yet, you can't help a lot. But I don't know. At the same time, it's like, shouldn't you be there? It's a pretty pivotal moment. Like, at the end of the day, if they make a run and get a ring, you get a ring too. So I feel like you'd want to be a part of that process in some way.
He'd show up if it was the playoffs. You'd see him there.
So would Joey Bosa. All right, let's get into our top 3 Christmas movies. Can we do that now? Be cool.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, I want to start with Mario. He's the youngest one on the show. We'll do in reverse age order. Yeah. All right, Mario, what are your top 3 Christmas movies?
We should do reverse age order, and every year that Dave's older than us, we add a minute. So it's just like 30 minutes of silence before Dave. So I'll go 3 to 1. So number 3, kids go look a deer in the old Flash and the Bird. Christmas Vacation is my number 3. I love Christmas Vacation. It is a classic. It's one of the best. Makes you laugh every time. One watch for me, though. It's one watch. It's one watch and done. I can't really watch this over and over again during Christmas season. This next one I can, and I do. Dude, Will Ferrell as Elf. I mean, dude, that should get a Grammy every year or an Oscar or whichever. I don't know.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, Oscar. No one really. It's Oscar? Yeah, it's the Oscar. Yeah. And Grammy, too. Crap, he sings in it, so whatever. It's like people care about those awards anymore. So definitely Will Ferrell and the Elf. I mean, that one kills me. Like, Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? When he answers the phone, like, dude, that's the funniest line of all time. Any guesses on what my number 1's gonna be? It's a pretty obvious one.
Christmas Story.
I've never seen Christmas Story.
You've never seen it? It runs nonstop for like 48 straight hours on like TNT.
Yeah,
you got to watch it one time. You got to watch it one time at least.
Really?
I'm curious. Yeah, 100%.
What is it about?
You got to watch it.
Like, what's the storyline in that one?
It's like Christmas in the 50s. It's a comedy. It's funny. You'll love it. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. Okay. It didn't come out in the 50s. It came out in the 80s.
All right, we should do an overrated one too after this. And honorable mentions. Yeah. My number 1's Jim Carrey Grinch. Dude, that one makes me fall over like laughing. I think that one's so funny.
I gotta tell
you, I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
No, never, ever.
Never saw
I'm so
it.
sorry. You look really disappointed right now.
Dude,
well, I'll tell you what, if you find it and you tell us, hey, it's on this channel, Mario, you catch it for us in this week, Josh and I'll watch it.
Or if it's streaming anywhere, we'll watch it.
Have you seriously? Dude, it is incredible. Like, it is, dude, Jim Carrey's so funny. Like,
he is. So funny. We're both fans. We're both fans.
It's great. Like, it's like, honestly, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't seen it. It's very, very good. I'll watch Christmas Story and we'll report back on Thursday.
Yeah.
We'll report back on Thursday and we'll do reviews at the end. We'll go, okay, I'll do my review of Christmas Story. You guys do a review of Jim Carrey, The Grinch.
Okay.
Got it.
That's fair enough. All right, I'll go 3 down to 1 just like you did. Number 3, I'm going to go Home Alone 2, the one where they're in New York. I think Home Alone 2 is a fantastic, fantastic movie. I think all 3 of the Home Alones are great. If I had a number 4 on this list, it would be Home Alone 3. That's how much I like the Home Alone movies.
I think there's more than 3 of them too. I think
I stopped at 3. I made it weird, I think, at the end. So Home Alone 2 is my number 3. My number 2 is the original Home Alone. I love the original Home Alone. I think everybody does. Mario, do you like the original Home Alone?
That's gonna be my
Damn
overrated
it.
one. I know. I
Really?
know.
What do you not like about it? I'm curious.
I just thought, I don't know. I was just like, this is so like it's good. I just didn't love it. You know what I'm saying? It's not I'm not feeling the Christmas coming through
You
it.
seem like a prank type of guy. Like you would have appreciated it, but maybe not.
I know. I should. I'll give it again. I'll give it a shot again. I haven't
I
seen the whole.
think you missed the window. You're like way too old for it now.
Yeah, Michael
Yeah.
Jordan's
You had to
in it.
love it back in the day. What?
Yeah, that's fair, that's fair.
Michael Jordan's in it. I thought for sure he'd be in. Remember, he's on the
In the
train.
first one?
Not in the first one. He uses him as a decoy outside of the curtains and stuff. Remember, he's on the train moving around. It's Michael Jordan.
I don't remember that.
I do
Yeah.
not remember that.
Okay. Yeah.
All
Oh, good.
All right.
Now maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it was Robert Irsay. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And then that's hilarious. My number one is Elf. I think Elf's one of the funniest movies of all time, regardless if it's Christmas or not. Never gets old. I can watch Elf year round, not just during Christmas time. I think Will Ferrell. My two favorite like comedic actors as a kid was definitely Will Ferrell and Adam Sandler. I can watch their movies all day long. So Elf is definitely my number one.
Speaking of Will Ferrell, he was here not far from where we are right now today. Josh, I don't know if you saw it on social media. A bunch of my friends, at least, were in the same coffee shop with him taking pictures. He said he was nice as can be today.
Which part of San Diego?
He was in Kensington.
What?
And he was just hanging out. Yeah, it was nuts. And it was like all these guys that I knew just happened to be there at the exact same time at just a local coffee shop, and everyone has pictures posted on Twitter and Facebook. And Will Ferrell's posing with everybody. Dude, he was cool as could be. Yeah. it was cool as could be. All right. I'm surprised nobody said Die Hard, but I'm not going to play the Die Hard.
Not a Christmas movie.
Okay?
It's not a Christmas movie.
It's not a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie, but I'm not going to sit there.
It's a movie during Christmas. It's not a Christmas movie.
Is there a difference?
Yeah, what's his name? The main character in the movie said it's not a Christmas movie. What's his name?
Does he know?
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Yes, Bruce Willis is. Yeah, his opinion's more important than yours. Go.
He didn't write the movie, so it's not. Okay,
he is the movie.
All right, I have four of them. Okay, because I couldn't decide, but I have four. All right, I have my ties at the bottom three are Christmas Story, Christmas Vacation. Okay, I don't know, Josh, if you ever seen Christmas Vacation.
I haven't.
Yeah, Josh hates Chevy Chase, so he's not in a hurry to watch it.
I do hate Chevy Chase.
That's fair. I heard he's not a great guy in real life.
He's not a good guy, dude. I've been around Chevy Chase. He's not a good guy. He's big dude. He's a big dude though. He's like 6'5". Chevy Chase is a big guy. Elf is my number two. Yeah. Okay. So, and it could be my one also, but Elf is my number two. If Elf is on, which it will be on, I'll watch it. I never go by Elf and change the channel. If it's on, I watch all the way to the very end. And for me, it was Home Alone. Home Alone 1, not Home Alone 2, but Home Alone 1. Yeah, Home Alone 1. Yeah, and I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, for me, I thought Home Alone was great. I'm disappointed that Mario's not a big fan. You know what it is? Well, I can't say that. I'll say because Home Alone where it was located at, but Mario doesn't hate Chicago at all. Mario's probably Chicago's probably your favorite big city, right? It's probably Chicago.
That I've been to, yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what big cities I've been to. Probably, yeah. I mean, I've been to I drove by the Home Alone house before.
Did you?
Yeah. And it's like the classic thing to do. I think it just sold actually not too long ago. Like someone finally bought it.
But a lot of people I know when they go to Chicago,
McLevine bought it. Yep. Work on his jump shot in there.
Yeah, put his jump shot and everything in there.
You put the little hoop on the back of the door. And
just shooting. That's why he's shooting 20% from three. You know what?
Those are mine.
You know one we didn't mention? I'm curious for your guys' thoughts. Scrooge with Bill Murray.
Watched it 2 nights ago. I'm guaranteeing my kid hasn't seen it, but I'm telling you, I like Scrooge. Did you see it?
My dad. So, dude,
it came out when I was in high school. It came out when I was in high school.
My dad's a diehard Bill Murray fan, so
Me
I've
too.
seen a lot. So when he says "back off, man," maybe working with chicks, but ain't working with me is one of the funniest lines I've ever heard. He's in this elevator with like the ghost behind him, and it's priceless.
Hey, I have a question for Dave. Is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles a Christmas movie?
No. It happens during Thanksgiving. It happens during Thanksgiving.
Damn it.
I know what you're trying to do there.
I thought you were going to say Bad Santa in your top 3, by the way.
Bad Santa is a good one, too.
I need to watch Bad Santa. I heard Bad Santa is really good.
It is. It'll make you laugh out loud. You'll make you laugh.
I need to watch that one.
Yeah. So right up your alley. I got to tell you guys. Go ahead.
We forgot 4 Christmases.
It's a good movie.
Amazing movie.
I think I've seen it
Yeah.
once. I think
Oh,
I've seen
dude.
it once.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's a great movie. Why is your
Who's
guys'
in
name?
it?
What?
Who's in it? Who's in it?
Vince Vaughn, Reese Witherspoon are like the two
Okay,
main
okay, there you go.
characters. Yeah.
All right, I like both of them. There you go.
Oh yeah. There's a great line in the movie when they're like, "Why are you guys all named after cities?" Like, "Oh, we're named after the cities we were conceived in." It's like that. Dude, that would kill me.
Oh my gosh. All right. So there you go. Highlight of the show for me, guys. I gotta tell you right now was when Mario got upset and yelled "suck it" right back at Josh. That was
It wasn't very nice, but yeah, it was funny.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
That was
Hurt
the
my
part of the
feelings.
show.
Definitely hurt my feelings. So.
For
My
people
bad.
who wonder
Praise be.
if you've been loyal to the Bolt City podcast and you wonder what we talk about before and after the show, that was an exact conversation of what goes on either before or after, where Mario gets a little fired up, he yells a "suck it" to one of us, but he did it right there on there, which is my favorite part of the show today. And then I apologize to Robert Irsay, rest in peace, that I said he was owner of the Colts. That's embarrassing. There you go. 25 years ago, Josh, he died. Is that what you
97.
said? Yeah.
27.
Things haven't been the same since. I apologize.
I wasn't alive when he died, Dave.
Oh my God. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. All right. Again, we want to thank Maddie Schmidt for joining us as well. But we'll be back on Thursday and we'll give our predictions, what we're going to see going into the big game. Of course, Colts, Chargers, Monday night. Again, maybe I'm crazy, guys, but I feel crazy confident because it seems like everything is going our way. We're winning games. They have major injuries, like the Colts, which the season was over already. But these are the kind of games you kind of worry about getting caught up in, right? Nothing's sure for sure in the NFL. So Thursday night will be our last show leading into Christmas weekend, and then we'll get ready to go. Again, Chargers looking for another win. For Josh Pele, Mario Heron, I'm Dave Pele. We'll see you next time on the Bolt City podcast, courtesy of Odyssey.